fuck, man. We gotta speed this up because I don't have much time. What's today? Well, not. I know what today. I meant what time it is.
Not so pretty. That is a very
I
good
got
looking group of
fucking
people.
class in the morning, so.
And I'm thrilled to welcome to the White House very special people.
This is where he
talented
calls
people.
out
The
the
2024 World
California
Series
senator.
champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I want to congratulate you on a legendary season, and I watched it very closely. Some of those teams were home teams, and you did a big number. You're really amazing how it all came out and how it all ended. With us today is Dodgers owner and chairman Mark Walter. Thank you very much, Mark. Congratulations. President Stan Kasten, one of the greatest managers of the really ever to wear the Dodger blue, Dave Roberts. What a time he spent. That's great. What a job. I think he would have lasted even with George Steinbrenner, right? I love George, but he was very quick. He would.
I don't.
Games and you were fired. Right? Great job, Dave. Also,
I don't think he talked.
Secretary of Agriculture.
Honestly, I think we should just move on from this. Because I don't think he's going to talk about any policies and stuff right now.
What the hell are they talking about? I was there for 4 days and they were blaming me for eggs, and they've gone up like 6 times or something, some record number. You couldn't get them. And I gave it to Brooke.
Because I think this is just
73%.
more for the Dodgers.
And the press doesn't mention that. Nobody talks about it. So but I know. Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRimmer. Thank you. Congratulations. The Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, who's a big Dodger fan, by the way. Susie, thank you. And we have also Representatives Kevin Kiley, Congressman Kevin Kiley, Young Kim. Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Jay Olbernolte. Jay. Thanks, Jay. Nanette Barragan. Nanette, where's the... Hi, Nanette. Oh, look at that, huh? What nice outfit.
So he's thanking people.
He shattered all of those records last year. Think of it, all of them. And he did.
Yeah, he's just talking about Dodgers people.
And he did go bruised, but not broke.
Yeah, he's thanking the Dodgers.
Now it's like steel, all these guys. Yamamoto. Yoshi?
Yamamoto's in the back. Oh, yeah. Basically, some of the, so we also have Japanese players on the American teams because, right, they're just like, whatchamacallit, just like, NFL and, right, all these other sports, people import players if they want to.
Wow, what great athletes. And of course, series MVP, Tommy Edman. That was an MVP series.
Right, like, what's his name? Shohei Ohtani?
That's pretty good. That's a lot of talent you had to beat
some
out there.
Asian American.
Incredible. Tommy was 407 with 11 RBIs.
Baseballers.
In 6 games. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. Great job. When it counted, too. Next game, the blockbuster World Series against another iconic team known as the New York Yankees. I love the Yankees. George was a great friend of mine. He had very few friends, but he was. And if you want to sit for 9 innings with a game, watching the Yankees play with George, you were exhausted by the end of the game. It was actually hard work, but we love George, and they're doing a good job, and they're doing well this season. And you're already 9-2, and so you're doing a good job. Maybe you see the same thing over again. In Game 1 of the World Series, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I think we're just gonna go to the next because he's just thanking all the He's just thanking all the players and whatnot, asking some of them to come out. Yeah, basically, this is just thanks to the Dodgers for coming in and supporting and whatnot. All right. If you wanna watch the rest of it, right? President Trump welcomes the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, I haven't been to a fucking game in a while. Last time I went was with friends when they had a ticket. Holy shit, that was like almost over a decade ago. Alright, let us see. Major meeting with Netanyahu. Have you been watching the markets today? Have you been watching the markets today? Oh shit, fuck, I fucked in. Oh, I clicked. Watching the markets today? I think we're just gonna fast forward to the meeting because I don't have much time.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you. Mr. President, I want to first thank you for inviting me again.
And as usual, the
White House.
audio's fucked
You've
up.
been
They
a
only have it
remarkable
coming
friend
out
of
of
the
one
state of
side. Nice, nice.
You stand.
Let's see if we can get a better one, you fucking assholes. Why is it only coming out of one fucking side?
Capable.
They are on Israel at 17%. We can listen in right now, the president.
Israel, and we had lunch together, we had meetings together, along with his very capable staff, and I think we've come up to some pretty good solutions and conclusions, and we'll be working a little bit after this, and then I assume you're going back home.
Yes, sir.
This is a quick stop, in and out. But we appreciate you being here, and we are a friend of Israel, as you know. I would say that I'm by far the best president that Israel has ever even thought of seeing. And it's an honor to be so, and to be so thought of. And many friends in Israel, they are not in an easy area. It doesn't go easy, but we are helping them. And likewise, they've been helping us very much. And so we'll see how it all works out. But we had great discussions today, I think, on the obvious subject of Iran, and also the less obvious subject with respect to Israel, and that's trade. And I think the Prime Minister is going to tell you a little bit about trade and what they're doing for the United States. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Benjamin, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Dom. Thank you. Mr. President, I want to first thank you for inviting me again to the White House. You've been a remarkable friend of the State of Israel. You stand by us. You're standing with us. You are a great, great champion of our alliance. And you actually do the things that you say you do. And I think that people respect that enormously. I certainly do, and the people of Israel do. And I think the Jewish people do as well. We just saw your representative in the Department of Justice fighting anti-Semitism, standing up for Israel in international forums. I just want you to know from the heart, it's deeply, deeply appreciated. As you said, we had the opportunity to talk today about many subjects. First, if I can mention tariffs, it's a subject of some interest today. I can tell you that I said to the President a very simple thing. We will eliminate the trade deficit with the United States. We intend to do it very quickly. We think it's the right thing to do.
No
And we're going to also
reciprocity.
eliminate trade barriers, a variety of trade barriers that have been put up unnecessarily.
No more tariffs.
And I think Israel can serve as a model for many countries who ought to do the same. I recognize the position of the United States. It says, you know, we're allowing other countries to put tariffs on us, but we don't put tariffs on them. And, you know, I'm a free trade champion, and free trade has to be fair trade. And I think that's basically the position that you've put forward, Mr. President. We are going to eliminate the tariffs and rapidly.
I mean, there is no really free trade, to be honest.
Secretary
right?
Lutnick yesterday.
Because if there was really free trade, you would have like human trafficking
quickly, and I
and all
hope
that
to
shit,
bring the
right?
solution very quickly. We're not talking about intentions. We're not talking about you know, just words. We're talking about results. And those results are going to come. That's the first.
Thank you very much. It's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President, what about the hostages here?
Well,
Let him finish.
Didn't finish. We spoke about not only the hostages, but about Gaza, the hostages.
Yeah, the fucking the journalist jumping in too fast. He wasn't done. Motherfucker's still on his speech. Relax.
Obviously is a human story of just unbearable agony. I speak to the families. I spoke to them yesterday. Spoke to another one when I was in Hungary before I came here. I speak to them every day. They're in agony. The hostages are in agony, and we want to get them all out. Steve Witkoff, was, President Trump's very able representative, helped us get a deal that got 25 out. We're working now on another deal that we hope will succeed. And we're committed to getting all the hostages out, but also eliminating the evil tyranny of Hamas in Gaza and enabling the people of Gaza to freely make a choice to go wherever they want. I mean, they should have that choice. And the president put forward a vision, a bold vision, which we discussed as well, including the countries that might be amenable and are amenable to accepting Palestinians of their free choice if they choose to go there. And I think that's the second thing that we discussed. But the hostages came right on top. We also discussed the situation in Syria. We've had neighborly relations with Turkey that have deteriorated, and we don't want to see Syria being used by anyone, including Turkey, as a base for attack in Israel. Turkey is a country that has a great relationship with the United States. The president has a relationship with the leader of Turkey. We discussed how we can avoid this conflict in a variety of ways, and I think we can't have a better interlocutor than the President of the United States for this purpose. And of course, we also discussed Iran. Look, we're both united in the goal that Iran does not ever get nuclear weapons. If it could be done diplomatically in a full way, the way it was done in Libya, I think that would be a good thing. But whatever happens, we have to make sure that Iran does not have nuclear weapons. That's the end of my speech.
Mr. President,
We're having direct talks with. Wait. We're having direct talks with Iran.
So as you said, or as you heard. Got that. Sorry, in my nose. Yeah, fucking. Still in the talks. What is it? So he's talking with other countries. Yeah, so it looks like he wants to ask the neighboring countries for help to take these people, to take some of these people.
A country that has a great relationship with the United States. The president has a relationship with the leader of Turkey. We discussed how we can avoid this conflict in a variety of ways, and I think we can't have a better interlocutor than the president of the United States for this purpose. And of course, we also discussed Iran. Look, we're both united in the goal that Iran does not ever get nuclear weapons.
Yeah, and they want to denuclearize, or
in a full way, the way it was done in Libya.
Well, I mean, it seems like they're trying to keep an eye on Iran because of their nuclear programs. And probably, well, yeah, that's basically it. They don't want nukes. Because usually when you're building a fucking nuclear facility, right, a nuclear power plant or something, you might be building nukes.
Wait. We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. It'll go on Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that
to make a nuke, you need a
preferable.
You need a facility that can process all the materials to make the nuke, right?
Something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with, if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen. And we had just a lot of good talks on a lot of things. I appreciate very much what you said about the tariffs. We've been ripped off and taken advantage of by many countries over the years, and can't do it anymore. Just can't do it anymore. We can't be the stupid people anymore. And it's all because of the people that sat in the seat right here. Not your seat, but this seat. They allowed things to happen to our country that they shouldn't have allowed to happen on trade and other things, many other things. I mean, look at what's happened with our last president, where he allowed millions of people to come
always
into our country
blaming
with
Biden.
an open border.
Well, I mean, he did take over
How
as
stupid
presidency
is
for 4
that?
years.
But he allowed millions and millions of people, and of the millions, and I think it was 21 million people, but let's say 3 of them were serious criminals, serious murderers and drug dealers and gang members and people from jails. All the jails emptied out right into our country, right along the open border on Mexico, generally the Mexico. They came in from Canada too, by the way, a lot. But generally speaking, on the southern border. And what a shame it is that we are now working very hard to get them out, get the criminals out, get the murderers out, the drug dealers, the mentally insane, get them out. They dropped the mentally insane in our country too. And this was all done by the Biden administration. It's a disgrace that we have to work so hard. And then we have judges that try and protect these people, but they didn't protect us when the people were being let in. But to get them out is never easy with these people. So
I mean, they didn't protect the
I think
people
we're
that
doing a
got
great
got
job.
by some of
The
these
border is
fucking
the best it's
invaders.
ever been. Even as strong as it was, I had a great, solid border. I think it might even be tougher right now and stronger. So people are coming into our country, but they're coming in legally. We have a legal process, and we have that moving along properly, because we need people to come into our country, but we want people that can love our country and cherish our country. So that's where we are. And with that, any questions?
Mr. President, the European Union.
He keeps saying the same
Would you
thing.
be open to a pause in tariffs?
As long as you're not being a
Well, we're not
abrasive
looking at that.
ace-hole,
We have many countries that are coming to negotiate
and you
deals
legally
with us,
enter
and they're gonna be
correctly,
fair deals,
then
and,
you're good.
In certain cases, they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. There'll be fair deals.
Stop
As
doing
you know, I
illegal
spoke
shit,
this
eh?
morning with the Prime
Not
Minister
hard.
of Japan, and we had a very good conversation. They're coming. And I said, one thing, you're going to have to open up your country, because we sold no cars, like 0 cars in Japan, and they sold millions of cars into our country. They don't really take our agriculture, a little bit of it just to keep us slightly happy, but they don't take what they're supposed to be taking. So we have a great relationship with Japan. We're going to keep it that way, but they're coming in to meet, and other countries are coming in. With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on. So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year they'd make on us on trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China, but they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it, because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. And the reason is that people allowed it to get that way. So we'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries. And I think, you know, if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first. And we didn't put America first. We put America last. The people that were in the Oval Office put America last, and we're not going to stand for it. Yeah.
America first.
U.S. in the talks with Iran.
2 questions. Do you expect any of these deals to be made before April 9th? And secondly, there have been some mixed messages from your administration. You're talking about negotiations, and yet others in your administration are saying that these tariffs are actually permanent. What is the action?
Well, they can both be true. There can be permanent tariffs, and there can also be negotiations, because there are things that we need beyond tariffs. We need open borders. You know, we almost had a deal with China where we're going to open up China. It was almost done. Some of you remember it during my first term, and it was very disappointing. We ended up making a great deal. $50 billion worth of product was sold. $50 billion. You'd like that in Israel. And I made that deal, but it wasn't the deal that I wanted. It was the deal that I wanted was that, plus they were going to open up China so that our companies could go into China and compete with other countries and China for the, for a large number of people. And at the very end, that deal was terminated, and we went to a piece of the deal. And so there are a lot of things outside of tariffs, but tariffs are very important. But there are a lot of things like opening up countries that were totally closed. China's essentially a closed country. In fact, it is a closed country, and what they do is they charge tariffs so that if you sell cars or if you sell anything, nobody's going to buy it because the price is out of control. But that's true with a lot of other countries also. So we're going to get fair deals and good deals with every country, and if we don't, we're going to have nothing to do with them. They're not going to be allowed to participate in the United States.
What the fuck? Fucking Netanyahu's he's having a chuckle over here because all of our fucking journalists are retarded.
President, we have time. This gentleman is all day long.
Mr. President, thank you for the chance. Many of Palestinian Americans who voted for you and not for Biden because you've promised them to end the war in Gaza.
Very honored by that vote, too.
The war is still going on, and there's no hostage deal. Do you have any update on that?
Well, I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point that won't be in the too distant future. Right now we have a problem with hostages. We're trying to get the hostages out. We got quite a few of them out, but it's a long process. It shouldn't be that long. We have a big problem that we've done. I think I'll ask Pete to maybe talk about it for a second, because a lot of people are asking. The Houthis, we've been very tough and very successful militarily. We've really damaged them badly. These were people shooting down ships and other things, by the way, flying objects like airplanes. And we've put a major hurt on the Houthis, which nobody's been able to do. We've really hit them hard, and they know it, and they don't know what to do. And it's every night, night after night. And we've gotten many of their leaders and their experts. They're experts on missiles. I mean, they actually make missiles. Nobody thought that. But they make missiles. They're highly sophisticated, and they're very tough. But they've been very badly damaged. Nobody else was able to do that but us. Pete, you want to discuss that, please?
Yes, sir. It's been a bad 3 weeks for the Houthis. And it's about to get worse. It's been a devastating campaign, whether it's underground facilities, weapons manufacturing, bunkers, troops in the open, air defense assets. We are not going to relent. And it's only to get more unrelenting until the Houthis declare they will stop shooting at our ships. And we've been very clear with the Iranians as well. They should not continue to provide support to the Houthis, and that message has been made very clear. So we have a lot more options and a lot more pressure to apply, and we know, because we see the reports, how devastating this campaign has been in them, and we will not relent.
We have a great military. There's no military like our military, and despite Biden having given a lot, but nevertheless a pretty small piece, but it was a lot of our military away in Afghanistan, and one of the dumbest situations, I think, and maybe the most embarrassing situation we've ever been involved in, that short period of time in Afghanistan. What a disgrace that was, but left a lot of our military behind. Left. You see them in their annual parades where they're parading trucks that are armor-plated and different things that they can't. But it's many billions of dollars we left behind. But despite that, we have a tremendous military. That was a very small portion because we rebuilt the military during my first term. And we We have great things happening with our military. We also essentially approved a budget, which is in the facility, you'll like to hear this, of $1 trillion, $1 trillion. And nobody's seen anything like it. We have to build our military, and we're very cost conscious, but the military is something that we have to build, and we have to be strong because you got a lot of bad forces out there now. So we're going to be approving a budget, and I'm proud to say, actually, the biggest one we've ever done for the military. We're cutting other things that were under DOGE, but under a lot of other. When you look at a woman getting $2 billion for environmental, and it had nothing to do with environmental, and they had $100 in the bank, and they give her $2 billion. Many of those cases, all that stuff is going to be cut out. But we are getting a very, very powerful military. We have things under order now, the likes of which we've never had before. We've never had the kind of aircraft, the kind of missiles, anything that we have ordered. And it's in many ways too bad that we have to do it, because hopefully we're not going to have to use it. But the military is very, very powerful, and it's going to remain that way.
How do you, Mr. President?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to ask you about Iran, because this
Jesus,
is the first time we hear that the U.S. is having a direct contact with the Iranians. Is it possible to give us some more information at what level the U.S. is
High level,
represented?
very high level. Yeah.
And
we're dealing with the Iranians. We have a very big meeting on Saturday, and we're dealing with them directly. You know, a lot of people say, oh, maybe you're going through surrogates, or you're not dealing directly, you're dealing through other countries. No, we're dealing with them directly, and maybe a deal is going to be made. That'd be great. It'll be really great for Iran, I can tell you that. But hopefully, we're not going to have to get into that. We are meeting very importantly on Saturday at almost the highest level, and we'll see how it works out. Please.
How do you ensure, Mr. President, that these tariffs don't drive U.S. trading partners into the hands of the Chinese?
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. If they want to be in the hands of the U.S., they don't want to be in the hands of the Chinese. And, the Chinese have turned out to be really not very good at that. People that are with us, they're with us. But we cannot be taken advantage of any longer. I used to watch these deals for years. I've been talking about it for years. You know, I've been talking about it for 35 years, how our country is being ripped off. I mean, 30 years ago it was Japan, then it was something else, then it was another group, then it was China. China's doing the best job of it, frankly. And it's just not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Mr. President, you said it may take... has said that they have...
And so
I'm guessing the reason for Japan was because of probably some of the hate still they have for us because of the atomic bombs.
we've been listening to a discussion there in the Oval Office. President Trump
nuclear
alongside
bombs,
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meeting face to face. And the president there talking about many things, including, of course, tariffs. Another day where the markets have been going all over the place. They're flat at the moment, but he talked about other countries have been calling to make deals, including Japan. Netanyahu said Israel will eliminate the trade deficit rapidly. And then on China, he said we will slap a 50% tariff on China if they don't drop the 34% tariff they put on us, the United States, in retaliation to the tariff we put on them, the United States, 34% last week as well. A lot to follow there. And he also announced, perhaps very importantly, that the U.S. is going to have direct talks with Iran on Saturday. Let's bring in Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes. That was only 18 minutes of dialogue there, and a lot was discussed. What did you...
Shit, that was only 18 minutes of dialogue? Fuck you.
I want to first thank you for inviting me again.
Looks like now we are going to be getting some playback.
Happened to our country that they shouldn't have allowed to happen on trade and other things, many other things. I mean, look at it's being ripped off. I mean, 30 years ago it was Japan, then it was something else, then it was another group, then it was China. China's doing the best job of it, frankly.
Mr. President, you said it may take... has said that they have offered 0 for 0 tariffs on cars and industrial goods. Is that not enough?
Well, the EU, no, it's not. The EU has been very tough over the years. I always say it was formed to really do damage to the United States in trade. That's the reason it was formed. It was formed with all of the countries from Europe, I guess most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And they formed together to create a little bit of a monopoly situation, to create a unified force against the United States for trade. So they have NATO, which is largely the same countries, and they took advantage of us dollar-wise and militarily until I got there. You know, I was able to get $600 billion from NATO, where they paid NATO because most of these nations weren't even paying. We were paying for NATO, so we're paying them to guard them militarily, and they're screwing us on trade. So that's not a good combination. So now it's really turned around. It's the opposite, and the European Union's been very bad to us. They don't take our cars, like Japan in that sense. They don't take our agricultural product. They don't take anything practically. And yet they send millions of cars in a year, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, BMWs. They're sending millions and millions of cars into the U.S., but we don't have a car that's been sold to the European Union or other places, but let's go for the European Union. And it's not going to be that way. It's got to be fair and reciprocal. It's got to be fair. It's not fair. We have a deficit with the European Union of $350 billion, and it's going to disappear fast. And one of the reasons and one of the ways that can disappear easily and quickly is they're going to have to buy our energy from us because they need it. They're going to have to buy it from us. They can buy it. We can knock off $350 billion in 1 week. They have to buy and commit to buy a like amount of energy. And we have that. You know, we have more energy than any country in the world. I don't know if you know that. He knows everything. But the one thing he may not know, we have more energy than any country in the world. We have more of every kind of energy, every form of energy, from oil and gas to coal. And people talk about, I call it beautiful, clean coal. As you know, Germany is opening up a coal plant a week. They tried the windmills and it didn't work. They tried all the other solutions and they were ready to go out of business. Now they're doing a coal plant a week. China is now up to 2 coal plants. They're opening 2 major coal plants every single week in China, all over China, and then we're not allowed to use coal. Well, we have clean, beautiful coal more than anybody else. We have oil and gas more than anybody else.
Just like what we saw yesterday in the health landscape.
By a lot. And I took it to number 1. We were number 3, and I took it to number 1 during my administration.
A lot of these regions, if you looked at where some of these facilities are,
Biden is energy. It was also their bad spending, but energy.
These places are being opened,
played around with this incredible thing that
being opened up
built,
and
this administration had built,
running
and the energy
all
costs
over
went through
these
the roof.
countries.
And when that went up, everything else followed. Now, if you look at what's happening, you're going to see this today. I said we're going to try and get groceries down, right? An old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term. Eggs. So when I got in, the press went absolutely crazy the first week. They said, eggs have quadrupled in price. I said, I just got here. Tell me about it. And Brooke Rollins and our team did a great job, and eggs are down now 79%,
Gotta get them eggs,
and they're all over the place. And this was a problem that somebody else would have taken a long time to cure. We have energy is down. We have interest rates are down. We have groceries, meaning food is down. We have everything is down at levels that nobody ever thought possible. Energy looks like it's going to be in the $2.50 a gallon range and maybe below that for a car, so for gasoline. So we're really doing amazing. I mean, we're cutting prices because prices got so high people couldn't live. I mean, the prices for groceries, the prices for standard groceries, standard things were going through the roof. They couldn't live, and now those prices are coming down. So call them groceries, but that's down, energy's down, and interest rates are down. Everything's down. And the interest rates, the beauty there is when we refinance debt, you know, debt's become such a big factor in this country. We're going to start paying debt off with tariffs and other things. But it's such a big factor because the interest rate's so high. Well, now that's coming way down. So our budget's going to look a lot better because interest costs are way down. And I guess I've done that.
Many Israelis are watching you now on live show. What is your specific way of getting the hostages out from the horrific captivity?
We are trying very hard to get the hostages out. We're looking at another ceasefire. We'll see what happens. But we want to get the hostages out. The Israeli people want the hostages out more than anything. They want the hostages out. This man is working very hard with us to do that. I mean, I don't know. I hope he's being appreciated because he's been a great leader. He's working very, very hard on the hostages and many other things. And there are plenty of things you have to work on. It's a tough place in the world, isn't it?
I have a good partner.
Yeah, you do have a good partner, and so do we. We're working very hard on the hostage.
If you're going to negotiate a new deal with Iran, can you elaborate how it's going to be more effective than the JCPOA?
Well, I can't really say that, but I think it'll be different and maybe a lot stronger. But they were so happy when we made that first deal because we did get a lot out. You know, I had people right in this office, this beautiful Oval Office. They came in, 10 people hostages, you know that. And I said to them, so how was it? And the stories they told me, I mean, as an example, I said to them, was there any sign of love? You were there, 10 people. It's only 10, but it's pretty representative. Did the Hamas show any signs of, like, help or liking you? Did they wink at you? Did they give you a piece of bread extra? Did they give you a meal on the side, like, you know, you think of doing? Like what happened in Germany, what happened elsewhere. People would try and help people that were in unbelievable distress. They said no. I said, all of them. I said, did they ever wink at you, like, you'll be okay? You're going to be okay? No, they didn't do that. They'd slap us. The hatred is unbelievable. And the lives, you know, they lived in a pipe, not really a tunnel, it was a pipe. And they always thought they were suffocating, they were going to suffocate. And then they'd open up the pipe, and it was like 3.5 feet high. This isn't, you know, we hear tunnel is bad, but pipes are worse. And the stories I heard were incredible. But I just said, was there any sign of potential love or affection? And there were none whatsoever. It was amazing to me. There was nothing like, here, take this, it's a little extra meal or something. They lived like hell. I don't know. They seemed to be, they were amazing to me because they seemed to be pretty normal. They weren't scarred, but I guarantee underneath they have to be scarred. And one was there for 356 days. Another was there for about 180 days, you know, a long time. These are people that have been really, really horribly treated. I've never seen anything like it, actually. I was very surprised to hear the answer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are there 2 or 3 countries that on your list that you feel are farther along in getting their tariffs lowered?
I think there are many that want to get rid of tariffs right now. European Union, I mean, as badly as they've treated us, they've brought their car tariffs essentially off. I guess they brought it down to 2.5, and I hear maybe to nothing. But it's not only tariffs, it's non-monetary tariffs. It's tariffs where they put things on that make it impossible for you to sell a car. It's not a money thing. They make it so difficult, the standards and the tests. They drop a bowling ball on the top of your car from 20 feet up in the air, and if there's a little dent, they say, no, I'm sorry, your car doesn't qualify. When the same car from Germany or anything would dent likewise, unless you're going to have an army tank, it's going to dent. So they come up with rules and regulations that are just designed for one reason, that you can't sell your product in those countries, and we're not going to let that happen. Those are called non-monetary barriers. They make barriers that are so tough that it's impossible to qualify. So tariffs are a big part of it, but there's
people
another
just
big part
love
of it,
isolating
and that's barriers.
themselves.
They also do something else. They manipulate their currency, and they drive it down. They want to drive. They want to have low currencies. You know, it sounds better to have a high currency, a strong dollar or whatever, but they bring their currency down, and when it competes with our currency, it's very hard to sell a tractor. It's very hard to sell product because their currency is low and ours is much higher relatively. And so it makes it very hard. I speak to a lot of companies that do business, tractor companies, and they say it's so hard to sell because what they've done is they've lowered the yen or they've lowered the yuan or they've lowered their currency, so then it's very hard to compete. We don't want that either. So we have a lot of things that we're talking about, but we're going to fix it properly, and it's going to be fair to everybody. And in the end, I think we're going to have a world that does a lot better, you know, but they have to respect the United States. And nobody but me would do this. Nobody but me would do this. You know, it would be nice to serve a nice, easy term. But we have an opportunity to change the fabric of our country. We have an opportunity to reset the table on trade. We lose billions of dollars. We lose close to $2 trillion a year on trade. We lose $1 trillion a year to China, $1 trillion. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars a year on trade to China. We lose hundreds of billions of dollars overall, probably close to $2 trillion. Why would we do that? Number one, why would we do that? And then you have to say, is it sustainable? Then you hear about all of the people that say, well, deficits. If we have a deficit with a country, or if the country has a big surplus with us, like China has a massive surplus, that they take and they spend on their military. Well, we don't want that. I don't want them to take $500, $600 billion a year and spend it on their military. I don't want them spending money on their military. And I shouldn't have to spend money. We shouldn't have to spend it either. Because, you know, hopefully, and I said this to President Xi, hopefully it's money that we're never going to use. In other words, because we're not going to use those incredible weapons that we have and that they have. We don't want
There's
that.
a reason
so,
why there's so much money that goes
very
into fucking
it's the only
military
chance
or
our country will have to reset the table. Because
or
no other
defenses.
president would be willing to do what I'm doing or to even go through it. Now, I don't mind going through it because I see a beautiful picture at the end. But we are making tremendous progress with a lot of countries, and the countries that really took advantage of us are now saying, please negotiate. You know why? Because they're getting beaten badly because of what's happening. They're getting beaten badly. They're being devalued as countries. But it's the only chance we're going to have to reset the table on trade. And when we do, we're going to come out unbelievably well. We're going to have a strong country economically again, and we're going to have those factories that are empty all over the United States. We've lost 90,000 plants and factories. Think of this, 90,000, you wouldn't think it's possible, 90,000 plants and factories since NAFTA, which was, by the way, the worst trade deal ever developed, ever had by any country anywhere, NAFTA.
Oh, yeah? What?
And I terminated NAFTA. Everybody said it would be impossible. And I terminated it through Congress. We terminated it. You had to get it through Congress. It was a trap. It was a horrible thing. We got it done.
Vietnamese
and we went to the
Trump? What are you even
USMCA, which was
talking
much better. The problem is they cheat. They cheat like crazy. Canada cheats. Mexico cheats. Just one of those things. But we are resetting a table, and we're going to have great trade, and we're going to have a very strong country. Our country is going to be at a level that
Switches are made
maybe
there.
never been, or maybe, you know, our country was the strongest, believe it or not, from 1870 to 1913. You know why? It was all tariff-based. We had no income tax. Then in 1913, some genius came up with the idea of let's charge the people of our country, not foreign countries that are ripping off our country. And the country was never that kind of wealth. We had so much wealth, we didn't know what to do with our money. We had meetings, we had committees, and these committees worked tirelessly to study one subject. We have so much money. What are we going to do with it? Who are we going to give it to? And I hope we're going to be in that position again.
Mr. President, do you plan to reduce the tariffs that your government put on Israeli goods, 17%?
On where?
On Israeli goods, 17%. Do you plan
Well,
to
we're
reduce
talking about a whole new trade. Maybe not. Maybe not. Don't forget, we help Israel a lot. You know, we give Israel $4 billion a year. That's a lot. Congratulations, by the way. But we give Israel billions of dollars a year. Billions. It's one of the highest of, and we give a lot of countries money. You wouldn't believe if I said we give Afghanistan a lot of money, didn't it? Because that was a Biden deal, another Biden deal. Not only did he embarrass us with that,
Yeah,
they
I
give
mean,
them
when we were
billions of
helping
dollars.
Afghanistan, yeah,
So,
we were giving
but no,
them money. And then once we lost our foothold in Afghanistan, well, I don't know what happened to that money, right?
We take good care of our friends, and we don't take care of our enemies. We're not taking care of our enemies anymore, but we do take care of our friends.
Mr. Reverend, for the Times of Israel, the IDF is fighting again in the Gaza Strip. I myself might be called up in a month. Do you think that's the way to pressure Hamas to get to a deal? And do you think blocking humanitarian aid is also an effective pressure?
Well, you know how I feel about the Gaza Strip. I think it's an incredible piece of important real estate, and I think it's something that we would be involved in, but you know, having a peace force like the United States there, controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing. Because right now, all it is for years and years, all I hear about is killing.
Oh my God, fucking Trump wants to set up. This is gonna be fucking hilarious. Because none of the neighboring countries sound like they want to take in refugees for some reason. So instead of taking in the refugees, you are now going to have U.S. intervention to fucking be the middleman of this whole situation because these people keep fucking trying to kill each other.
Killing and Hamas and problems. And if you take the people, the Palestinians, and move them around to different countries, and you have plenty of countries that will do that, and you really have a freedom.
Fucking Gaza is gonna be turned into a fucking a tourist trap. Oh man, I don't think the the Muslims and the Arab the Arab countries are gonna like that very much. You gotta make a choice, you fucking idiots. You either help these people or you get the U.S. involved. Which is it?
A freedom zone. You call it the freedom zone. A free zone, a zone where people aren't going to be killed every day. That's a hell of a place. It's a, you know what I call it, a great location that nobody wants to live in because they really don't. And when they have good living, real living, where Hamas and all of the problems they have.
Yeah. Also, where the Gaza Strip is, like that. It's next to a water source and everything. Like it's not a bad place, but it's just riddled with the fucking conflict.
The level of death on the Gaza Strip is just incredible. And I've said it. I don't understand why Israel ever gave it up. Israel.
I mean, there's probably good resources around there,
He
too.
wouldn't have given it up. I know
Like
him very
mines
well.
and
There's
stuff.
no way. They took oceanfront property and they gave it to people
Yeah,
for
it
peace.
was literally the ocean's right there.
How did that work out? Not good.
Is the immigration, sorry, Mr. President, is the immigration plan still on the agenda?
Which immigration?
From Gaza. From Gaza.
All it is a concept that I had that I think is good, and now people are copying it. You know, maybe do you want to tell? People are talking about the Trump plan. Gee, why don't we do that? Would you like to answer that question?
I think what the president talked about is, first of all, to give people a choice. You know, Gazans were closed in. And any other place, including in arenas of battle, I mean, whether it's Ukraine or Syria or any other place, people could leave. Gaza was the only place where they locked them in. We didn't lock them in. They're locked in. And what is wrong with giving people a choice? Now, we've been talking...
You know what a locked-in, closed-off space looks like? You look at some of the places in Russia, right? What we looked at yesterday. And we even looked at the fucking video yesterday. I can't even fucking pull it up. This one. If you watch this video, or if you go to Moon's video, right, you can literally see in one of actually this place right here, the thumbnail it's on right now. This is in Russia. This is a Russia place that they're talking about, or well, what Moon is talking about. Oh, also we can. I think I also have a. Right here, what is a closed city? A closed city, Zato, is a settlement where access and residents are restricted due to, it was cut off because he didn't, but sensitive military, nuclear, or scientific facilities. Basically, they pertain, government information, right? So they're basically military facilities in a sense. So that's why they're closed off, right? Restricted in a sense, limited access. So only certain people. Cold War designed to protect strategic state secrets. Officials maintain 38 closed cities, which has 1.5 million residents. And all of these residents all have health issues because of the living conditions and facilities they're operating. Some of these facilities are fucking like fucking processing plants for materials and shit. But yeah.
Including over lunch. About some countries, I won't go into them right now, that are saying, you know, if Gazans want to leave, we want to take them in. And I think this is the right thing to do. If you give, you know, it's going to take years to rebuild Gaza. In the meantime, people can have an option.
And some of the life expectancy in those places, holy shit, man.
We'll have good news for you.
I think one of the lowest life expectancy in one of those cities was fucking, what, 30? That's like, Jesus, fuck.
People really do love that vision.
Actually, it was out in, I think the one in 30 was like out in Africa.
It's a long-term vision, but so importantly is to
because
have that
of
be a
gang
safe
wars
field.
and
because you're right smack in the middle of the Middle East. You're right along Israel. It should have never ever been given away. It shouldn't have been given away by Israel.
The
I don't know why
jobs
they
that
did
you
it.
have
I mean,
to
I do
do.
know why, because they were promised peace, but that didn't work out
very
too well.
dangerous and
It's one of the
toxic
most
jobs.
dangerous pieces of land anywhere in the world.
Make a living.
Gaza is one of the most dangerous places in the world. So they gave it away for a good intention, and it didn't work out that way. And a lot of people like my concept, but you know, there are other concepts that I like too. And there's some concepts I don't like. You know what I don't like? The way it is now. Because right now it's a dangerous death trap, Gaza. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Can you talk a little bit about your potential meeting with Vladimir Putin? Do you still plan to meet with him? Could that happen in Saudi Arabia? And maybe you could elaborate as well a little bit on not providing tariffs on Russia, sir.
So the reason we're not talking about tariffs with Russia is because we're not doing business essentially with Russia because they're in a war. And I'm
Yeah,
not happy about
I'm
what's
pretty
going
sure.
on
Yes,
with
they're at war and we have
the
them
bombing.
fucking
They're bombing
sanctioned
like
out the
crazy right
wazoo.
now.
I thought we
They're bombing.
weren't
I don't
doing
know
any
what's
deals.
happening there. That's not a good situation. So we're meeting with Russia. We're meeting with Ukraine. And we're getting sort of close. But I'm not happy with all the bombing that's going on the last week or so. Horrible. It's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing.
Can countries negotiate to get below 10%?
In terms of
In terms
tariffs?
of tariffs, yes.
Look, we've been ripped off and taken advantage of for 40, 50 tariffs, massive numbers of dollars. And when you look at China, when I took over, it was at $507 billion they were making. I call it making. A lot of people say, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Having a surplus means a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's
it
almost like
means
a
a lot,
profit and loss
actually.
statement.
You can actually
when I
have
took
some
over, it was
leeway with that
$507
money.
billion that China was. This is originally first.
You
term.
want surpluses.
And we were very, very tough on them.
Right.
Because
you don't know
they
when
were
shit
taking that
hits
money
the
and they were
fan.
building a military with it. Then when Biden came in, he let him get away with murder. He had no idea. I'll tell you what, that man had no idea what was happening, whether it was the border or China or anything else. He had no idea what was going on. And they went wild. China went wild. And the money they make is ridiculous, okay? It's just not going to happen. And hopefully we'll get along with China. If we do, that's great. And if we don't, that's okay too. But we can't let that continue because that's an abuse. They abused the poor people that sat in the seat. That poor Biden, he was abused by them. They took advantage of him. And I'm surprised. You know, they have smart people. They were radical left lunatics.
Yeah,
but
I
they're
mean,
smart.
given
I'm
what
surprised they allowed
fucking
that to happen.
Senator,
we
what
are going to
was it,
bring
Mike Johnson
great
from
trade, and we're
Louisiana?
gonna be fair
Yeah.
to other countries. And I will say this.
Whenever he came
virtually
out and said
every
that
country
shit, it's like,
wants to
Jesus
negotiate.
fuck, man.
If
so
I didn't do
cooked.
what I did over the last
So
couple of
fucking
weeks,
cooked.
you wouldn't have anybody wants to negotiate. We would have gone to these countries. You want to talk?
When
And
he
they
said
want-
that shit, I was like,
Мать твою, а ну иди сюда, говно собачье! Решил ко мне лезть? Ты засранец вонючий, мать твою, а? Ну иди сюда, попробуй меня трахнуть, я тебя сам трахну, ублюдок, анонист чертов! Будь ты проклят! Иди,
Чёрта.
идиот, трахать тебя и всю семью! Говно собачье, жлоб вонючий! Дерьмо, сука, падла, иди сюда, мерзавец!
Сука, блядь.
Негодяй, гад, иди сюда, ты говно! Жопа!
Well, we don't want
Yep,
to.
that's how
now
I feel
they're
about
coming
Biden.
to us. They're offering things like even Bibi. This is
I don't
unrelated 'cause
even
it's a
know
different kind of
what the
relationship.
fuck that
But he
scab
started off our
said, but he
conversation
sounded
today
very
that
angry.
He's cutting all of the tariffs. He's cutting everything. He's going to get down
Very
to a free
angry
base. He's
Russian.
going to do things that, in all fairness, other countries, if they said that, would have never even thought about doing it. Now they're offering things to us that we would have never even thought of asking them for, because they're experiencing a lot of hurt. And the hurt is that they've taken advantage of us, and we finally fought back. Tariffs will make this country very rich. We're rich anyway, but we're rich in a certain way. We have $36 trillion in debt.
We're rich
I
in
want to get
the
rid of it, and
intellectual
we can do it
property
quickly
side.
with proper deals. So when countries don't allow us to sell our product, but we allow them to sell their product, when they charge us massive amounts of money for the privilege
Yeah,
of
then
going
people
into
try
their
to
country,
steal
those
America's
days are over.
intellectual
Okay.
property. Because none of the other countries know how to fucking make
Thank you,
shit
Mr. President.
themselves.
On Iran, two questions, please. First, if you can give us more details about where the meeting on Saturday is going to take place.
I can just tell you there's a major meeting going on between us and Iran, and that'll take place on Saturday, and it's at top level.
And the second question about this. A lot of people think that
Yeah,
those
some of
talks
these
not
guys
gonna
are,
lead
like,
anywhere because
asking
Iranians
the
will
same
never
question
give up.
again.
I think that's a possibility too.
If diplomacy fails, is the United States, under your leadership, ready to take military action to destroy the Iranian nuclear program and remove this
Oh,
threat?
here it is. Here's the fuck. Are you going to take military action to destroy the Iranian nuclear program? Sorry.
I think if the talks aren't successful with Iran, I think Iran's going to be in great danger. And I hate to say it, great danger, because they
Going to be in great danger. In very great danger. Just like Hamas. Or the Houthis, actually.
can't have a nuclear weapon. You know, it's not a complicated formula. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's all there is.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the whole denuclearization of the salt, right, the salt pacts back in the day. Yeah, these countries try not to build nukes anymore. right? Because of the ongoing fucking pacts we still have. So the fact that the Iranians want to now, I don't know if they have a nuke or want to build a nuke, or I don't even know what the fuck is happening over there. From what's been told, it seems like there's some information that Trump is holding on to, or the administration is holding on to, because what good does it have to tell the American people of all that information? If anything, it'd probably just make fucking the Iranians want to fucking kill America even more if Trump were to release certain information.
You can't have it. Right now, we have countries that have nuclear power that shouldn't have it.
I mean,
but,
look,
sure we'll be able to negotiate.
When you're holding on to a bunch of information, you do have to pick and choose when the correct time is to tell people. Because if you tell people at the wrong time, they're gonna go fucking ape shit and probably start some fucking weird shit, and it's gonna bring everyone into a fucking
Added that too as
conflict.
part of this later on down the line. But Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if the talks aren't successful, I actually think it'll be a very bad
These
day
are
for
very
Iran,
delicate
if that's the case.
times,
Yeah.
and people are fucking trying to stoke fucking war.
Was October 7th the death blow of the two-state solution? And would you consider classifying the Palestinian Authority as a terrorist organization for its continued papers like terror financing payments?
So October 7th was a horrible day that some people, they deny it. Now, I can't believe they deny it from the standpoint of it. They do it because they think it's good politically. But I've seen the tapes. I've seen things that you don't want to see. October 7th was a horrible day.
I'm pretty sure
We'll go down
nobody
as one of the
wants to
really
see that shit.
bad days in the history of the world.
look.
It was a horrible, horrible
Look,
thing
if you're
that happened.
operating in
They
certain
grabbed some of these
fields
people. I'll
where
give
you
an
have
example.
to do some,
When I was with the 10 hostages,
say,
a few weeks ago,
operating on someone,
I said, so how many are
you're
there?
gonna
59.
get desensitized.
I said, oh, so 59, so we can
Yeah,
get 59. They
that's
sort of
just
knew
the
the
thing.
territory pretty good. And I said, how are they doing? They said, well, only 24 are living, the rest are dead. And these are young people largely. Young people don't die. You know, young people have an amazing ability to live. They can live through horrible things. But these are young people. And when they said that 24 are living and the rest are dead. And, you know, I've had parents come up, Israeli parents largely. We have some Americans, and I guess we have one left, Alex. We have the one left. But I've had Israeli parents come up to me at events and say, my son is there. I said, well, how's he doing? Well, he's dead. But would you
God,
do
there's
me the
a
biggest favor ever?
there's
Would
an
you bring his body
American
back
named
home?
Alex. Oh,
They talked
shit.
about a young dead boy and a young dead girl like they were living. And that could have something to do with religion. That could have something to do with, I guess maybe any parent would be, but I was surprised. And they said, sir, my son is dead. It is just as important to bring that body back home. I asked that question as if he were alive. So you have a lot of them dead, and we'll be able to bring them back. But it's a horrible thing that's happened. These are largely young people. Some old ones too, frankly. And those people have lived in hell. When they came off, the second group that came out, they look like they just got out of a concentration camp. They look exactly like the pictures that I see from the 1940s, the concentration camps. And then they got a little bit better, you know. But that second group, those people came out, and I said, this is unbelievable. We're going back into a chapter in history that is one of the worst ever. It's really very bad. Okay?
People still employ those same methods. I mean,
You said it could take 2 years to get
it was
American
only, what,
manufacturing fully
100,
up to speed
200
in
years
response to
ago?
these tariffs. What
Yeah,
happens
still,
in the meantime?
people
Should
still
American people
employing the
potentially
same
for
fucking
years?
methods.
I'll tell you what happens. We have
The
now
fucking methods don't change.
$7 trillion.
Processes,
Think of
the
this,
process
$7
doesn't
trillion,
change.
Of commitments from companies wanting to
It's
go in,
just,
from Apple to
right,
many,
it's
many
just
companies.
That takes time.
Many
present
from
time
Taiwan.
now.
What?
It takes time to
And with
Are you asking me a question?
more
or are you telling me?
tools.
Yeah, it takes time. You know, you got to build a thing called a factory. You have to build your energy. You have to do a lot of things. I'm giving them energy. You know, we're going to let them build their own power plants. They'll be their own. Essentially, they're going to be in charge of the power plant because our power is not reliable enough. You have a grid that's old and susceptible to a lot of things, including bombing and weather and a lot of other things. And we're going to give them record timing in terms of approvals of electric plants. Most of them want to build electric plants. We need massive amounts of
also, if you want to
electricity
fix
if we're gonna compete
America's
with
grid
China and
system,
others.
yeah, you have
and
to
interestingly,
fucking...
we're way ahead right now in the AI
Yeah,
race.
that's a whole
with China.
fucking endeavor.
But the way we lose that race is if we can't
You'd have
give
to
them
change
electric.
the whole
But we have more
infrastructure of
plants
how
being
they
built. We have
fucking
everything we're
did
doing so
whatever they
great.
did.
And we want to keep it that way. And tariffs will be an important part.
Because you have
One
a
the
bunch
other
of these
things,
states
Lee
that are
Zeldin's done a
operating on
fantastic
their
job, head of
own
environmental
grid
protection.
infrastructure.
And he's doing very rapid approvals for people to get for big companies that are going to build a plant.
Right, you essentially have 50 states that are operating independently from, right, from the United States,
months
really.
versus a matter of many, many years.
Are we really United States when we're operating 50 different states independently with different grid systems?
Israel doesn't want
And a bunch of different weird policies and shit. It's like, oh, fucking headache.
make it a better, more peaceful country, or vice versa?
Well, I have great relations with a man named Erdogan. Have you heard of him? Yeah. And I happen to like him, and he likes me, and I know the press will get very angry. He likes Erdogan, but I do, and he likes me, and we've never had a problem, and we've gone through a lot, and we've never had a problem. We've always got, as you remember, we got our minister back from Turkey. You remember that? And this was a big deal at the time, and we got him back. And I told the prime minister, I said, just, Bibi, if you have a problem with Turkey, I really think I'm going to be able to work it out. You know, I have a very, very good relationship with Turkey and with their leader, and I think we'll be able to work it out. So I hope that's not going to be a problem. I don't think it will be a problem. Now, with that being said, I believe it was Turkey, and I said that to him. I said it. I said, congratulations. You've done what nobody's been able to do in 2,000 years. You've taken over Syria with different names, but same thing. I said, you've taken it over. He's taken it over through surrogates. He goes, no, it was not me. I said, it was you, but that's okay. You don't have to say, well, sort of maybe it was me. Okay. But what he did, he's a tough guy. He's very smart. And he did something that nobody was able to do. You know, you got to hand it to him. Any problem that you have with Turkey, I think I can solve. I mean, as long as you're reasonable. You have to be reasonable. We have to be reasonable. Thank you very much, everyone.
I mean, look, when you're trying to make deals with these nations, you do have to give up something a little bit, because each nation wants something, probably wants something, right? Right? You got to sweeten the deal. You got to create incentives. Diplomacy is not an easy task.
Thank you. Head out that door. Head out still. Through the far door.
Especially when you don't know what some of these people want.
Thank you, everyone.
See, I tried to get a question in. Have a good day.
I tried to get a question in. I'm guessing he was with CNN or some shit. He's not letting other certain news people talk. Yeah, the issue with a lot of these journalists is they're shouting out a lot of shit, and then Trump is like, "You motherfuckers." He gets annoyed by that shit every time he sees that happen. He's like, "You guys are dumbasses." I could tell. You could tell on his face. He's like, "You fucking idiots." Like, people want questions. It's like, yeah, he can give you he can answer your questions if you fucking do it in a goddamn civil manner. You fucking uncivilized swine acting like goddamn monkeys. Fucking hell, man. Alright, well, there you go. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister. We'll switch the other video. Alright, anyways. There you have it.